guys, I hope you're doing amazing. In this video today, I am going to share with you 3 quick and creative, easy ways on how to make a face mask. The first 2 masks that I'm going to show you, you will not need any sewing machine, needle, or thread. The last mask that I'm going to share with you is a little more advanced. It requires needle and thread and perhaps a sewing machine, but that's only because you can go faster on a sewing machine. It is not required. Don't worry, all of these steps I will be walking you through it, and it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Before we go any further though, I have to let you guys know that the mask that I'm showing you in this video is in no comparison to the CDC recommended M95 mask. I started making the mask that I'm going to show you pretty soon as a response to my sister and mom needing them. They both work in healthcare, and there was a shortage on the M95 mask, and instead of them going to work without one, we thought it was great for them to have something on their face. So that's why my sister came up with the idea to make some fabric masks made out of cotton and layering them and putting it on their face for some protection. Guys, the stay-at-home order is going to be lifted pretty soon, and we need to be safe. So if you don't have access to the M95 mask, please be sure that you are protecting yourself with some type of facial mask, whether it be a cotton covering, a bandana, whatever it is, you need to be safe. I'm not going to prolong this intro any further, but if you guys can do me a favor and subscribe to my channel to continue to get valuable videos, I would appreciate it. So let's jump into this video. Here we go. So here are the materials you're going to need for the paper towel mask. It's super easy. Once you have your full sheet of paper towel out, make folds into the paper towel, and you're going to take your fingers and place one hand towards the top of the paper towel and glide it towards the end so you can get nice even creases. You want your paper towel to look like a fan once you are finished with the folds. So continue to fold all the way to the end, and there you go, you got a nice fan. So now you want to take out your twist tie, place it on one end, fold it in, and then staple it together so that the twist tie does not come loose. And you may have to put 2 staples on it so that it does not come apart. And you can actually just, pull on the twist tie just to make sure that it is secure. And you're going to do the same exact thing to the opposite side. See how easy this is? And who would think that a paper towel would be able to give you some sort of protection? So now that you have your mask, what you want to do is just open it to make sure that it looks like a mask. And then the part I love is to try it on. Take one end of the twist tie, wrap it around your ear, and bring it around the front, and then wrap the other side around your ear. Pull up and down on the mask, and then there you go, a nice form-fitting paper mask. Moving right along, these are the materials for mask 2. This happens to be my lucky scarf. You need a bandana or a piece of cloth that is 22 inches by 22 inches. You're going to start by folding each end of the scarf inward twice. And then you're going to take your twist tie and wrap it around both ends of the scarf like such. You want to wrap it in so when you fold the ends of the scarf inward and tuck it into the scarf, it actually folds in nice and neat and evenly. So we're wrapping the first end of the scarf in, followed by the second end of the scarf. This needs to be done delicately because sometimes it can actually come apart. So you always want to make sure that you're holding it when you're tugging on a scarf. So now let's put it on. Wrap one twist tie around the ear and the other one around the other ear, and just adjust it to your face, and there you go. And for an added layer, you can always cut out a piece of paper towel and insert it. Here we are, mask number 3, the more advanced one. You will need 3 pieces of material. I actually have interfacing for the inner lining. You'll need measuring tape, whatever you're going to use for your ear loops, and that can be elastic. I'm going to use this red yarn right there. You'll need some pins, some thread, and sewing tacks. They are not necessary, but it'll help keeping everything together, and a needle, a sewing needle. So we're going to start by ordering our fabric. You're going to put your inner lining fabric at the bottom, followed by your fabric that you want to be shown on the outside face up. Then you want to make sure that it is cut 9 inches by 6.5 inches. That is a standard adult size mask. And then what you want to do is make sure that you cut out your ear loops to be 6.5 inches long. I found this size to be the most appropriate size, the best size. And you want to make 4 cutouts of this. If you're using elastic, you'll only need to cut out 2, so that's 1 for each side of the mask. I'm just putting 2 of these loops because I think it looks cooler and it will withstand many washes. So there you go. Next, you want to separate the material you just cut for the ear loops and place both on each side. So I'm going to start by taking 2 pieces of the yarn I just cut and pinning it maybe 1/2 inch down towards the top of the fabric, and I'm going to do the same thing towards the bottom, taking the ear loops and pinning it to the bottom of the mask, and again 1/2 inch up from the bottom, and do the exact same thing to the other side. This is going to help us keep everything intact when we begin to sew. So you just repeat that, and if it happens to give you a little trouble, just take your time. You can pause this video and just do it until you get the pin correct. And next, what you want to do is take your 3rd piece of fabric, place it face down on top of the fabric that you just pinned together, and put some clips on it so that when you begin to sew, it does not come apart and you have like uneven fabric sewn together. This is a great method to do. And then what you're going to do is begin to thread your needle. Take your thread, place it through the hole of the needle, pull it throughout. You want to make sure that you have enough thread on the needle so that you can sew the entire mask, all corners, the entire length of the mask. Sometimes though, when you're sewing and you're going in and out of the material, you can get some tangles. So sometimes it's best to maybe not put as much thread on the needle. Regardless, if you make a mistake, you can always redo the process. So you want to start in the corner, and you want to start by placing your thread in and out of one corner, maybe a few times, so that you can get a knot and you won't have your fabric unraveling. When you get to the ear loops, the pieces of cotton or elastic, you want to make sure that you put at least a few stitches in and out so that when you tug on the ear loops, they do not come apart from the fabric. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just making it nice and tight. So I'm going in on one side, out on the other side, and repeating it, going back through the side I came out, and doing that a few times on the material, the elastic or cotton, whatever you're using. And then what you can do now is start to begin sewing on each end. And what I do is fold the fabric in and out to get as many stitches as I can, and then I'm going to just drag the needle forward, and there you go. This is a faster way to do it. So you see how I'm just like weaving the needle in through one side, out through the other side, and then pulling it through. So we're going to do this throughout the entire mask, and when we get to the other side of the mask where the other ear loops are, you want to leave just maybe over 1.5 inches of opening so that you can fold out the right side of the mask. So we're just going to continue to sew the mask by gathering our fabric and pulling the needle through it each side until we are finished. So there we go. And sometimes it can actually gather up on you, but you can just pull it out. And so we have it, and this is the final side. This is the side that we're actually going to leave a little opening on. And when you get to the opening where you're going to create the opening, you can make sure that you end it by just putting a knot, and that's what I'm doing here, just placing a knot on where I am going to create the opening. So there we go. I placed a knot, and here we are. This is the little opening that I wanted you guys to make. And on that other side of the opening, you want to start a new stitch and make sure that you place a knot so that it could just be a new stitch that would not unravel. And you want to do the same thing that you did on the other sides with the ear loops, placing a few stitches in and out of them so that they do not come apart when they are tugged on. And then so we're just going to finish this mask off. It's easier to do the sides that does not have the ear loops. You can just run through those sides by just gathering the material, folding in and out, and weaving the needle through it and just pulling it out on the opposite side. You can get a large part done as such. Just simple and easy. And you just pull out the fabric if it is gathered once you pull the needle out. So you just continue to repeat this stitching method. Make sure that you end your stitch with a knot, and that is what I'm doing here. And bam, so you can just take apart those two pieces of thread and tie it in a knot just to give extra security. So there you go, your mask is stitched. And I actually cut out each corner when I am sewing a pattern that has corners, because when you put it on the reverse side, it actually just folds out much better. So we're gonna go through that opening and fold the fabric out like that until we get all of the fabric on the right side. And there we go. And if you see, I'm tugging on those ear loops and they are pretty secure. Oh, I just love this mask. And my mom thought of this pattern, so kudos to my mom. And what you can do, if some of the corners are stuck in, you just stick your finger to each corner and just pull out. So what I like to do always is iron my fabric. But first we're going to start by folding in the opening that we left out, and we're going to place a crease in it with our iron. This will help with the appearance and also to get the mask nice and flat and neat looking. Make sure that you turn your iron off, and for the final steps we are going to place some folds in our mask. We're going to place 2 folds in the mask, and I'm using clips so that my folds stay in place. And you want to measure the length of it to be 3 inches on each side. The reason why we are placing these folds into the mask is because we don't want just such a long mask on our face, and these darts that we're placing here is going to give us that mask look. When we open it, it'll just cover like right at the top of our nose to beneath our chin. We want to continue placing the needle in and out of the fabric on each side, making sure that it is nice and tight so that our folds do not come loose. And sometimes it gets difficult to push the needle through the material because the material begins to become thick when it is folded, but you can just wiggle it a little bit and then you can get that needle to go through pretty easily. And there we go. And you just want to make sure that once you get to the end that you tie your knot. That's always important, that you loop a knot through your thread so that your thread does not unravel. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to open it, the 2 pieces of thread, and just tie a knot or 2 and cut it, and then there we go. And you want to do the same exact thing on the other side of the mask, and when you're done you should have a mask that looks like this. How freaking cool. And then finally just run your iron over it so that it's nice and neat, and there you go, a nice mask. Guys, here is the final mask that I made all by hand, and it is 3 layers, has the interfacing on the inside. I'm going to try it on so you can see how it looks. So you put it on one ear, bring it around the front, put it on the other, and then you just bring down like this, and there you go, a cool mask that will keep you protected. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure that you hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on valuable videos. XOXO, mwah, mwah.